Hello my friends, and welcome to this NextJS crash course where you're going to learn most of what you need to be able to work with NextJS comfortably. All right, so let me quickly show you the project we're going to use to learn the concept, because I want this to be a project driven crash course. So I'm going to show you right here. This is the project we're going to build to learn all the concept of NextJS, or at least most of the concept of NextJS that you're going to be using when you build projects. So it's a cryptocurrency price app. So let me scroll down and show you what we have here. All right, so we have a list of cryptocurrencies, the price, and basically details about all the different cryptocurrencies. Also, we have the capacity to search for a particular cryptocurrency. For example, if I want to search for, let's say, Bitcoin, then, oh sorry, I didn't do that correctly. If I want to search for Bitcoin, then you see here we have everything that starts with bit and right here. All right, so let me just delete that. Then also we have this pagination at the bottom of the cryptocurrency list. So if you click on next, then it takes you to the next page, because you definitely do not want to display 100 coins on your page, so you want to be able to paginate them. So but if you click, then it keeps taking you to the next page like that, and so on and so forth. So let's go back to the first page and let's click on one of these coins here. So I'm going to click on Bitcoin. So if you click on Bitcoin, then it will open up the Bitcoin page itself and show you details about that coin. So this is the current price of Bitcoin. This is the changes in 1 hour, in 24 hours, in 1 week. So you see, in 1 week, Bitcoin has dropped in price by 30.34%. That's massive. Cryptocurrency, it's not at its best currently, but I'm sure it's going to pick up, sometime. Anyway, this is the market cap and the total supply, and then we also have the link to the website. All right, so if maybe you wanted to build a cryptocurrency exchange, I think this is somewhere where you can now put in the option for your user to buy a particular cryptocurrency from you, but that's not what this particular one is about. So basically, you're going to learn everything that you need to be able to build a decent application with NextJS. Also, we're going to talk about routing. So we have, this is the home page, but we also have an about page, and if you click on the about page, then it takes you to this page here. So I just wanted to talk about routing too. Then also we created a custom 404 page, or a not found page. So if I click a link that does not exist and I search for that, or I open that link, then you see this is our 404 page we just created. Oops, looks like you are lost. You click on back to home, then it takes you back to the home page. That's what we're going to be able to achieve in this project. All right, so now before we get started, I would like to say that if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video so that it can reach more people, comment on the video, just do something on the video, okay? It helps to support me and to push the channel further. All right, also, if you would like to check out my premium courses, then be sure to check out the link in the description, xenotrustacademy.com, where I've created amazing premium courses, and particularly my React course is something you should definitely check out. I'm going to leave a $10 discount link in the description for you, so if you want to take advantage of that, make sure you do it ASAP before the price goes up. Also, I created a free React roadmap for you if you like to track your progress as you learn React, which is definitely applicable to Next.js. Then make sure you check out a link in the description for the free React roadmap. If you want to say thank you to me for that, just subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and a like on this video, and I'm going to be more than grateful. All right, let's get started. All right, so what is Next.js? All right, I'm on the website of Next.js right now, nextjs.org, and they say that Next.js is a React framework for production. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot of things, and we will just talk about the key points. So the essential component is that Next.js is a React framework. Remember, React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. React being a library means that you have to, get to add a lot of packages and dependencies onto React to be able to create a production level application. So for example, React doesn't have its own routing. So you have to use React Router, which is an external package to be able to add routing to React. However, Next.js comes with quite a number of things that actually make it easy for us to quickly build an app and push it to production. and it was built, it's built by Vercel, being built and maintained by Vercel. So let me just quickly show you this slide. So I want to talk about the main difference between React and Next.js, and that is actually server-side rendering and client-side rendering. Let me show you what that means. So I have a React application that I created here. So this website is built using React. Yeah, it's a website for a bootcamp that I'm planning. I'm going to right click on this website and click on inspect. If I inspect this website, it will open the source code for the website. Oh no, not inspect. I want to view page source. So I'll right click and I'll click on view page source. All right, great. So let me click on link wrap here. Right, so this is actually what is loaded on the user browser when they first visit that domain, techbootcamp.dev. If you look very closely, you'll see that we simply have a single div. Okay, let me look for that. Okay, great. So if you look here, you see we have a div with an ID of root. I know this looks very small, but just bear with me. I'm not going to stay here for long. So we have just a div with an ID of root. What this means is that there are no contents that are preloaded when your website loads, and that is just the way React works. So React has what is known as client-side rendering. It's only when the user clicks on maybe a button or a link on your application that React now fetches that content and displays it to the user's browser. So I'm sure you're probably already thinking that, oh, then that's not good for search engine optimization, because if your initial page doesn't have any content, then search engine is not going to be able to pick out content from the page. Yes, that's one of the disadvantages. Anyway, what Next.js brings to the table is something known as server-side rendering. So Next.js has the capacity for both server-side rendering and client-side rendering, whereas React only has client-side rendering. What does server-side rendering means? What this means is that your content is pre-rendered on the server, and then when your page loads, that content is actually sent to the browser. What this means is that search engine will be able to pick out that content and be able to identify what your site is about. Hence, your site will rank on search engine. Anyway, let's just look at some of the advantages of Next.js. So with Next.js, you have faster development process because there are so many things that just comes out of the box with Next.js. So things like server-side rendering, which we've pointed out. Then we have things like routing and some other things that we'll see when we start building out our application. Then by default, Next.js is search SEO friendly. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. Next.js has an inbuilt routing functionality or feature. Then it also has image optimization feature inbuilt, and we're going to see that. Also, Next.js has native support for ESLint, so it just helps you to write better code. Okay. All right, so now let me point out that React also has an external package that can help you handle server-side rendering, but it's actually something I don't recommend. If you need server-side rendering, then just come to Next.js and let it handle that for you. Anyway, that's just a brief introduction to what Next.js is. So in the next one, we're going to actually start building out an application with Next.js and then talking about the main concepts that you need to know as a Next.js beginner. All right, so now let's go ahead and create our Next.js application. So I'm going to minimize my browser, and I have a folder here, front end projects, where I'll just open that project and I'll right click and create a new folder within this project. So new folder, and I'll just create, let me just do that with a shortcut, and I'll just say Next.js, and then I'll say -YT, which just stands for YouTube. All right, so I'll create that folder and I'll right click on that folder, and I have Git installed on my computer, so I'll just say git bash here to open that up, and I'll open that folder with Visual Studio Code. How am I going to do that? I'll say code and dot, and then I'll hit enter. So this is the folder right here. Let me expand it, and I'm going to open the integrated terminal in Visual Studio Code. Do that quickly, and let's drag this up just a little bit. So to create a Next.js app, all you just need to say is npx and create -next-app. So you do that, and then because I want to create that app inside of this current folder, I'm just going to add a dot, and then I'll hit enter. What this will do is that it will, download all the components you need or everything you need to, create a next app. And that's just going to take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and just wait for it to finish. All right, so the installation is complete and this is what we have here. Now for us to run our Next.js app, what we need to do is we need to say, we need to run this command npm run dev, and that's consistent with what you have in your package.json. So for people that use React, I'm sure you're used to npm run start, but this is different. So I'm going to say npm run dev here, and then I'll hit enter. So it's going to take a couple of minutes or seconds, and it will fire up the server. Yeah, so you see here, it tells me here that localhost 3000 is already in use. So let me actually just clear up that so that I can use this. So it has automatically started the Next.js app on localhost 3001. So if you want to open up the next app, what you just need to do is you need to just bring up your browser and just type out localhost 3001. So instead of 3000, you're going to use 3001. And if you open that, it will just open up your next application. So this is what a next app actually looks like when you open it up for the first time. What I got to do now is I'm going to put it one side of my screen. So this is the setup I like. Now let's go through the folder structure very quickly in Next.js. So I'm sure you've seen node modules and all of that. So just ignore this first and second folder. You're not going to work with them most of the times. All right. So the following folders we have in Next.js. So we have a pages folder, and that's where all of your main pages are going to go. Inside of that pages folder, we have this API folder that contains hello.js. If you open that, you'll see this file here. And what this simply means is that in Next.js, we can actually create our own backend API. All right. So that's what this is. Next.js is actually a framework that can handle both the front end and the back end of your website. Anyway, let's just close this one. This is not why we're here. And then let's look at this _ app.js. This is the entry point of our application. This is where everything is hooked onto. And if you look at the top here, you see that we have this styles.globals. CSS file. We're going to see what that is shortly, but for now, let's just close this guy. So after the pages, we have the public folder. That's where all of our assets are going to go to. So if I'm going to use an image inside of my project, it's going to come inside this public folder. Now next we have this styles, and inside the styles we have globals.css. This is where your global styles is going to be located, very similar to what happens in React, where we have index.css as our global styles file. All right, then we have this home.module.css. So in Next.js, we can also use CSS module. In fact, Next.js has support for CSS modules. It even has support for Sass. All the styling options that are available to us in React are also available to us in Next.js. Now, all of these other files are just the regular files, except for the next.config.js file. So if we need to make any changes in the configuration of our Next.js setup, this is where we're going to do it. And of course, during the project, we're going to do something here as well. The other things we have are just the regular package.json and the rest of them. So this is ESLint trc.json because Next.js has native support for ESLint. If you look at this package.json file, you see that we have React. So you see here we have React and React DOM. So because Next.js is a framework that is built on top of React. All right, I think we've spent enough time talking about Next.js. Now we're going to start setting up to build the projects that we're going to build in this crash course. So there are some things I just want us to set up before we get started, and that is regarding our styles. So first off, if you open your global styles, so where is the styles? And we have this global styles here. I want you to delete everything that is here, and we're going to replace it with styles that I'm going to make available to you, so that we don't have to focus on CSS in this crash course. If not, it's going to take a lot of time. So we'll just focus on learning Next.js. So I just got to paste in the styles here. So this is the styles we're going to need for our project. All right, that's the global styles. And then I'm going to close that up. And then there are some other style, just one extra style we're going to need. And that is for, I'm just going to drag that style and just, put it inside my styles folder. So I'll make it available to you. In fact, I'll make the repository for this project available to you so that you can also copy it and have access to it. So I'll just drag that style and then I'll just dump it inside of my CSS styles folder. So you see, this is cryptolist.modus.scss, and it just contains some, CSS styles, not too much, just a little bit for our table and all of that. Great. So now let's close that. Now that we've been able to see the folder structure of Next.js, let's go ahead and start editing what we have on this page here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go inside of our pages, and inside of our pages, I think I missed talking about the index.js. So if you look at the index.js, that's exactly what you see displayed here on the screen. So let me close this guy up and let me show you. So you see create next app, and sorry, this is the head, sorry about that. So I wanted to show you something. So you see here, welcome to, and then we have a link, Next.js. That's exactly what you see here, welcome to Next.js. So what I want us to do is I want us to clear everything we have inside this main tag. So I'm just going to clear it, and let's look for the bottom here. All right, so this is the end of the main tag. I'll just delete that and I'll just say hello world. So let's just add a hello world there and save, and watch what happens. So you see, we just have hello world here. Great. Then the footer, I don't need the footer here, so I'm just going to delete the footer. So let's just grab that and delete the footer. Great. So what do we have here? We simply have this div that has the styles.container, which we're going to remove anyway, but let's just so styles.container, so let me just remove it right away. Then we have this head. Now this head is a very important, it's a component that comes with Next.js, all right, and it helps with search engine optimization. So if I expand this browser here, look at what we have here. We have create next app. All right, so if I expand this browser, you see here we have create next app. All right, so important for search engine optimization, you want to make this, you want to change this to what your application is about. So in my case, it's going to be crypto, and I'll just say updates or price updates. All right, then also you get this meta tag here that has some content. So here you just want to make it relevant to what your application is about, and this is because Next.js has support for search engine optimization out of the box. So I'll just go ahead and save that, and I would have loved to change the favicon.ico, but I'm not going to do that for now. Anyway, let's just leave it as it is, but it's something you can do when you're building your own application. Then of course I'll just get rid of this class name here. All right, and save. So voila, so you see what we have now. We can actually now start building out our own application. All right, let's get started. All right, so Next.js is very similar to React in so many ways. However, it makes React better. Like we've seen, this index.js is our entry point to the app. So index.js is just our home page, and that's why we changed everything here to hello world. So what I got to do is I got to create another page. So within the pages folder, I'm going to create an about page. So let's do that right now. So I'll click on this guy here and I'll say about.js. And we're going to create a component inside. So I'll use my shortcut RAFCE to create just a simple about page here. I'll get rid of this guy and then I'll save. Now let me show you. I'm going to come to my browser, I'll expand this guy and I'll go to /about and hit enter. And as you can see here, we have this about. So it's very small because it's just a normal text, but if you can see here, we have it, it's right there. So that's how easy it is for us to create a route, if you allow me to say that, in Next.js. So you don't need any external package for routing. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to close this up and we're going to continue building, or we're going to start building the application that we have here. So like I always like to do in all of my tutorial, I'm going to start from top to bottom. So I'll start by building the header. Just like in React, in Next.js, we can also create components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder inside of the root directory, and I'm going to call that components, like so. And this is where I'm going to create my components that I'll use in the page. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to create a header component and a footer component, because these two components are going to be present in all of the pages that I create in this application. So that's why I'm making them a component and making them reusable. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll put them inside folders. So I'll do like this. or maybe I should just create them directly inside this component because I'm not going to be creating any special styles. So I'll click here and I'll say header. So header.js, and let me just do array fce here to create a boilerplate for my components. Then I'm going to create the footer also. So let's go and say footer.js as well. Hit enter and create a boilerplate. Save that. And next I'm going to create a layout component, and you'll see why I'm creating a layout component shortly, but let me just create it here. So layout.js. All right, so now let's get started with the header. For me to actually see what I'm creating, I need to come to my index.js and reference the header right here. I'll close this guy up so that I can have some space, and inside of this hello world, I'm going to change this to header like so, and I'll auto import it and close that up. If you save that, then you should see header here. So just give it some time to compile. Oh, and I'm in the about page, so I need to be in the home page. So let's change this here to localhost 3001. And yeah, so we have this tiny header text here. So let's go ahead and create our header. So I'll come back to the header component, and the first thing I want to do is let me change all of these guys here to header. Sorry about that. Let me open this up. And my return statement, I'm going to just open my parentheses, and inside here I'm just going to say header tag. So let's have a header tag like so, and I'll tap that, open that up. Inside the header tag I'm going to have a container like so, and also header class. Open that up, and there are two components inside of our header. There's the logo and there's the menu. So let's start by creating the logo. So I'll say the logo, tap that and open that up. Inside of this logo, I'm just going to have a simple h2 that will just say crypto X. But you know one thing, anyway, let me create the h2 first. So the h2 is just going to say crypto, then capital letter X. But if you look at the styles we have in this guy, you see that this X is actually, it has its own color. So for that, I'm going to put that X inside a span tag. So let me just come here and say span and tap that. Then I'll have my capital letter X inside of it. Of course, I'll delete this guy, this other X, and then I'll just make it such that it's close to the other one. Now let's go ahead and give this a class name, and I'll just make it red. So the class I use for that, the utility class, is color-danger. And like I said, these styles are available to us in the GitHub repository down in the description. All right, so what do we do next? All right, great. So let me save this and let's create the other part of this, which is the link. So let me come, if you come here, you see that we now have this guy here, crypto X. So I'll create the link. I need to come down outside of the logo, and I'll come down here and I'll create a nav tag. So nav, you know, you want to create semantic HTML. You don't just want to put divs everywhere. We'll create an unordered list here, and inside that unordered list we're going to have list items. The list items is where we are now going to have our links. So just like in React, in Next.js we also have this link tag, but it's a bit different. So first off, let me import this link tag from Next.js. Let me show you how you do that. So you come here, you say import link, and I would have loved to import it automatically, but for some reason it doesn't work on my Visual Studio Code. So you say import link from next and then / link. All right, so that's next, link. Now this link is going to have a property. That property is going to be href, an attribute actually, and this href is just simply telling us where do you want to go. So here we just want to go to the home page. That means this link is going to say home. All right, great. So we're just going to duplicate this a couple of times, 2 more times to be specific. So I'll just grab this list item and do 1, 2. This second one here is going to say about, and we're going to change this to about as well. Then the last one is going to be the button that says get started. It's just going to take us to the home page. So you know what I'm going to do for this list item, I'm going to give it a class name of, I'll use my utility class --btn and --btn hyphen primary. Okay, then it's going to say get started. Great. And let's go ahead and save, and let's see what we have on the page. Aha, so you see we now have this menu item on the top here. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to create, of course, if you click on this about, it will take us to the about page, which is right here. But of course we need to go back, so that because we don't have any header on the about page, we're going to fix that shortly. Now let's go ahead and create the footer part of this project. So I got to go to footer, and we already have this boilerplate here. So for the footer, we're simply just going to remove everything we have here, and we're going to have a footer div. So let me open my parentheses, and we want to write semantic HTML. So footer, and inside of the footer, we're just going to have a paragraph. This paragraph is going to say the copy symbol, so and copy, then you close that, and then we're just going to say 2022, and then I'll say all rights reserved, like so. So that's it for the footer. So I gotta save, and we need to add the footer to this page here. So I'll come here and say footer, and then I'll import it and close this guy and save. Aha, so you see we now have the header and the footer. The disadvantage of doing it like this is that on every page you create, you're going to have to add the header and the footer. So for example, if you go to the about page, you don't have the header and the footer there, so you're going to need to copy this guy and slot it into the about page as well. That defeats the purpose of the component system in React. So let me show you what we can do. We're going to create a layout file, and I'll just do RAFCE and tap that. You don't need all this import React from React, okay? So you can get rid of it. Now this layout file is going to be what we use throughout our pages. So I'm going to open this guy up like this, and I can even make it a fragment, okay? So this layout is going to have a children prop. So here I'll just say children, and this is pure React knowledge, it's not Next.js specific. So inside of this guy here, we're going to have the header like so. So let me import it like a component. Right, so I'm importing that, and we're also going to have the footer. So I'll come down here and I'll say footer, then I'll close that as well. Now between the header and the footer is where I'll now have the children prop. So I'll just open this guy here, let me tap that to the middle, and then I'll just have my children like so. All right, so now with this layout file, I can have my header and my footer anywhere I want. So let me save that here, and I'll go to the index.js. I'll get rid of this guy, and inside of the main I'll have my layout. So layout like so, sorry, and let me tap that, and I'll just auto import it. All right, from components. Now inside this layout, let me just have a simple hello world. So I'll save that, and let's see if it changes anything. So let's go back to the page where we were before. Great. So you see, because we now have the header and the footer inside the layout, we can now slot in our hello world, or any components we slot in between the opening and closing tag of the layout is going to be regarded as the children. Like I said, this is React specific, and if this is confusing for you, then you should probably check out my React.js course here on YouTube, or my premium course on my website, which is in the link below. All right, let's continue. So because we've created this layout file, what this means is that I can even go to my about page. So let me go to about, and I can have my layout here as well. So I'll get rid of this guy here like so, and I'll just say layout, okay, import it, and then tab it, and then inside here I can just have a h1 that will say about us. Of course, if you save that, so I just need to reload the page. For some reason Next.js wants me to click on this reload. All right, so if you click on about, you see here that we now have the about us, and it has the header and the footer, which is great. All right, so now we're going to continue by building the next section between the header and the footer on the home page, and that is going to be the hero section here. All right, now I know I did say we're going to build the crypto section, but I want us to just quickly get rid of the about section and even add a 404 page to our application. So let's do that quickly. So if you go to the about section, we just have this about us text inside of it. So what I got to do is I'm going to create a section tag, and inside am I doing the right thing? Okay, let me just bring it down here. Okay, now inside the section tag, I'll add a container, and then I'll drag this h1 inside. Okay, so I have the h1, and next I'm going to, okay, it's going to say about crypto X. So crypto caps X. Okay, then I'll come down here and I'm just going to add some paragraphs. So here I'll just start by saying, you know what, let me just grab the piece of text from the about section. So it's just this one here. I'll copy that and I'll paste that in here, and then I'll just duplicate this twice. So let me just do it again. And I think I did separate this with a line break, so br tag and tab that. So save that, and if we go to the current project we're building and we check the about page, you should see that we have the content there. So you see, very quick. So next, let's add a 404 page. Now NextJS has a default 404 page for when a user enters a URL that doesn't exist on your website. So for example, if I just enter something here and I click enter, watch what happens. All right, so NextJS is going to throw this 404 page. The only disadvantage to this is that there is no way for the user to actually go back to the home page, and of course it's not fancy. So let me show you how to create your own custom 404 page. So it's very easy in NextJS. All you need to do is come to pages and create 404.js like so, and that's all there is to it. So we're going to quickly create a 404 page. So I'll come here, I'll do array-fce to create a component. Then of course I don't want it to be 404 because you can't create a component with a number. It has to start with a letter, so capital letter, not found, and then that's it. So inside of this not found, we're just going to replace some things here. So first off, let's replace this with a section and section, and then inside here we're going to have a container. All right, tap that, and I'll have another div that will center everything. So dash dash center hyphen all. Then let me actually look at the previous 404 page I created. So I'll just enter something that I know does not exist so that we can just have an example to follow. All right, so this is the 404 page. So let me just grab this piece of text here, and I'm just going to enter a h1. I'll tap that and I'll paste in the code, the text. Oops, looks like you're lost. Then next, I'm going to enter a paragraph tag. So Control C, and I'll add the paragraph tag, paste that in. Then lastly, we're going to have this button that says back to home. So how are we going to do that? So I'm going to add a line break after this paragraph here. So let's just add a br tag, tap that, and then we're just going to have a link. This link will have a href attribute of home, so /, and then inside of that, oh, let me not actually forget, let me just import link straight up. So link, and I'll import it from import link from, so next / link. Okay, so now that should get rid of that, you know, red curly braces. So here we're just going to have a button, so button, button. Not the best practice here, but then I just want to be fast with this, so I'll give it a class name of --btn and --btn hyphen primary, and then I'm just going to say back to home, back to home. All right, so let's go ahead and save that, and let's come to the original page we're currently working on, and this 404 page should switch to, maybe I need to refresh it or something. All right, so you see we have the 404 page here. Now, of course, if you like, you can add a layout, so there's a header and a footer. In fact, I can do that right away just here. I'll just come here and say layout, and let's auto import it and tab it, and then I'll just take the closing tag, Control X, and I'll paste it at the bottom here like so, and save. What that will do is to just add a header and a footer to this 404 page. So if you click on back to home, it will just take you back to the home page. Yeah, so that's about it for the about page and the 404 page. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to now work on the crypto section. All right. All right, now let's go ahead and build out the hero section, which is this first section immediately below the header. Very straightforward section. So I'm going to come here. Remember, this hero section is on the home page, so it's actually going to be a component that will now be dropped on the home page. So I'll come here and create another component, which I'm going to call hero.js. So hero.js, and save that. Great. Now let's go ahead and create our boilerplate. So RAFCE, and I'll tap that, get rid of the React, which we don't need. Then I'm going to change this div to a section tag. Remember, we want to try as much as possible to have semantic HTML. So section. Okay, great. Now I'll get rid of this guy. Inside of this section, let's have our container, and it's actually going to be a bit fast because we already have our styles, so we don't need to start, writing styles. This is also going to have a class of hero and a utility class of flex -direction, and I'm going to set that to column. And that's because when we are on mobile, well, we just want it to be, flex direction column. So the first element we have inside this guy is this bit of text, and then next we now have the image. If you expand this guy, you see that it's actually side by side on large screens. However, when you come to the mobile width, it stacks on top of each other. So we have two components inside this container. So the first is going to be I'll call it hero text -text. I'll tap that and just duplicate this, and this is going to be hero img, which is the second component here. So let me just give some space between both of them. Then I will now add content to the hero text section. The first thing I have there is the h1, and this h1 will simply just say the fastest way to buy and sell Bitcoin. I'll copy that and I'll paste that in here. And apologies if I'm very fast, that's because I assume that you should know React before delving into Next.js. All right, so next we're going to have a paragraph tag, and that paragraph tag will simply have this bit of text here. I'll copy that and I'll paste that in here like so. Okay, next we have this button. So you see this button we have here. I will come below my paragraph tag, and I'm just going to use an a tag here, and it's not going to go anywhere, right? But it's going to have a class name. So I'll just say class name, and I'm just going to give it my -- btn utility class, and then I'll make it btn primary like so, and it's going to also say get started like so. Great. So that's about it for the first part of that hero section. The next is the image. So I'll come down here, and inside of this div, now in React, what we are used to is this img tag, right? That you add your source and all of that. But Next.js has an image, like I'll call it an image component, okay? But it actually comes with Next.js, and it has some advantages over just using a regular image tag. One of those advantages is lazy loading. So it's actually going to load your page, and your page will load first, and if you scroll down to where the image is, that's when it's going to start loading. So it doesn't actually delay your page when you open your website for the first time. So, but to use it, you actually have to import it from Next.js. So you got to come up here and import image from Next.js. And I think it's capital letter image like so. I was actually hoping Visual Studio Code will help me. So let me do it myself. Import image from, and it's going to be next/image like so. So now that we've imported it, we can come here and confidently use it. So I'll come here and say image, and it's a self-closing tag. It's going to have a couple of properties. One of them is the source, so src, all right, which I'm just going to say equal to, and like that. Then it's going to have a height property, or for alt property first. So alt is going to be set to, let me just say image. Nothing is coming to my head right now. Phone. Then it's also going to have a width property. So this is compulsory. You must set a width property. If not, it's going to throw an error. So in my case, I'm going to give it a width of 225. Then it's also going to have a height property. And that height property, I'm going to set to 450. So 450. Now, mind you, these curly braces here can actually be quotes around it. All right. But curly braces is still going to work. But it can actually be quotes. I just want to point out that. So now, what is the source of this particular image? Well, I am actually going to drag this image and dump it inside of my public folder. So let me open that. Public folder is where I'm going to leave all my assets. So this, where is it? Public folder. Yeah. So let me just drag the image. So I'm dragging it right now, and okay, so this is it right here, and I'll just dump it inside the public folder, which is here. Yeah, so you see we have crypto.png. So what this means is that I can now use this image inside of my project. So I'll come to the source and I'll just say / crypto crypto.png, like so, and then I'll go ahead and save. Now let's come to the project we're currently working on and see what happens. So for some reason the page is not refreshing itself, so let me just refresh it on by myself. Oh, okay, I know why. The thing is that we've not imported this hero component to the index.js. So I got to go to the index.js and I'm just going to reference the hero components. So I'll come here, I'll get rid of this guy here and I'll say hero. And you see I have the option to auto import it, which I'm going to do, and I'll close that and save. And now we should get the hero component here. So this is the hero component right here. And what's going on here? It's not showing the image. So let me look at that. Maybe I probably made a mistake somewhere. So source, that's correct. Alt, width and height, that's also correct. So let me refresh this page just to be sure. Oh, so indeed there's a typographical error. This should be crypto. Okay, so if I add the error and save, then that should fix it up. All right, so you see we now have the image right here. Great. So we are done with the hero section. Next, we're going to start working on the next section, which is this place where we have our list of cryptocurrencies. All right. All right, so now we're going to work on the crypto list, where we're going to list out all of the cryptocurrencies and their various prices and this information essentially. All right, so let's come back to this application here, and for that we're actually going to create a special component. So I'll come here and I'll create a component. So let me come to my components folder and I'll call that component crypto list. So crypto list.js. Hit tab on that and let's create a boilerplate. So I'll just do RAFCE to create a boilerplate, and let me close this guy up. So this is where we're going to write the JSX for our cryptocurrency list. But the first thing we need to do is we actually need to fetch the details or the data from an API. So I cannot fetch the data from an API on this component. I can actually only do it inside of a page, and I will need to do it inside of this index.js, which is the landing page for this application here. So let me introduce you now to a something new in Next.js, and that is a method called getStaticProps. So when you want to fetch some data from like an API, you want to make a request to an API to fetch data in Next.js, it is recommended. There are several ways you can do that, but the one we're going to use for this particular purpose is getStaticProps. So let me show you how it works. So first off, you see this return statement here. I can actually come either above or below it. So for my case in the index.js, I'm just going to come below my return statement, so like a fresh start, and I'm going to say I'll create a function. So I'll say const and get static props, like so, and that's going to be equal to, we're going to make it asynchronous. So I'm going to say, let me just create the arrow function first, like so, and I'll open it up. So first off, let me export it. So export, and we're going to make it asynchronous. So we'll just add async in the front of this guy here. Great. So inside of this method here, or this function here, get static prop, we're going to say const response, and that's going to be equal to, so now because we are using asynchronous JavaScript, we're going to say await and fetch. So let's fetch something. So inside of this parenthesis here is where we're going to slot in our URL. So I already have the URL in my clipboard, so I'll paste that in. So it's API coinstart.app, and it doesn't require us to put in any kind of key or stuff like that. So that's why I just chose it, simple to use. Then I'm going to come down here and we're going to say const data, because we expect some data, and that's going to be equal to response.json, like so. Open your parenthesis. Now this method here is supposed to return something. It's supposed to return some kind of prop that will be accessible to this component, this home component here. So I'm going to come down here and I'll type my return statement. So I'll say return, and it's like that, and then we're now going to say props. Okay, so this props is going to have an object inside it, and that object is going to have the like a name. So here I'll just say coins, and I'll set the value to point to this data that we get from this fetch operation. Okay, so I know if this is your first time of using NextJS, this may look kind of confusing. It's always like that when you're learning a new syntax, but by the time you do it once or twice, then you start getting used to it. So this is how we can fetch the data. So now how can we confirm that we've actually gotten that data? Well, you just need to come to this, your component, your home component here, and catch that prop. So in our case, the name of the prop was coins, like so. And then I can now come inside of this guy here and do a console.log for my coins. So coins. All right. So I'll go ahead and save that. One more thing, before you actually test out this file, you need to add an await here because it's asynchronous, remember. So const data is equal to await response.json. All right. So go ahead and save that. And now we can actually go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to open this up and check my console.log. And as you can see, my console.log, we have this object here, coins. And inside of the object, we have an array. So if you open that up, you'll see that we have this coins array inside of this coins object. And if you open that up next, you see that we now have the data for the various cryptocurrency. In our case, we limited it to just 10. That's why we have just 10 items here. Great. So we're making progress. So let's close this up and let's continue. So at this point, now that we have access to the data inside of this index.js components, remember you cannot use this getStaticProp ordinarily in just an outside component. It has to be inside a page. That's why we did it here. Okay, so now that we have access to it, we're going to head over to our crypto list component, and we're going to write the markup for the crypto list. So I got to come here to my crypto list. So I'm gonna start by coming and changing. I'll get rid of this guy and I'll change this guy here to a section. So section, like so, and inside here we're just going to have a container. Okay, so one more thing though, this section, in this case, I'm going to give it a class name of coin list. So coin list, like so. And then inside of the container, let's do a tab there. And we're going to have a div that will have a class name of tables. But this time, this crypto list is going to take styles from our special modules file. So if you come here, you remember that we added crypto list.modules.scss. So this is where we're going to fetch our table styles from. So I got to close that, and in my crypto list I'll import the styles. So I'll come here and say import styles, and it's going to be from, so .. and I'll go into my styles folder, and then I'll look for my crypto list. Yeah, so that's it. So here we are now going to have a div, so div, and this div, let me tab it first, and this div is going to have a class name of, so it's going to pick styles dot, and the name is table, like so. All right, so remember this styles is coming from our crypto list module SCSS file. Great. Okay, so now let's proceed. So we're going to actually have a table. So let's open a table tag, like so. Exactly. And a table is going to have a table head. So table head, let's, oh sorry, this needs to be table head, t head, and table body. Okay, now inside the head we're going to have a row. So first one, I gotta have a table row, and the table row is going to have the table head, so th. Okay, so let me tab that and duplicate it. 1 2 3 4. So it's going to have 5 of that. The first one is going to be the serial number, then the next one is going to be the coin, then next we're going to have the price. So allow me to actually look at the finished project so I can be fast with it. So we're going to have the price, and we're going to have the change in 24 hours. So H. Then lastly, we're going to have the market cap. So market cap. Yeah. So that's for the heading. Then the table body. Okay. So I'm going to open that table body here, and let me see. Okay, so in the table body, this is where I'll map through the coins. Okay, so here I'm going to say, for now, I'll just say coins dot, sorry about that, so coins dot map, and I'll open this up. Then I'll represent each item as a single coin, and then I'll also grab the index, INDEX, so that I'll name it from there. Then I will just open it up like this. So remember, you need to return something. So I'll return, so I'm just going to return, let me just open some parentheses here like so. So I'll just return something. Essentially what I'm going to return is the table row. So let me just have a table row first, and I'll come back to that. So but before then, when you do coins.map, where is this coins going to come from? It's going to come from this coins prop that we got here. So this static prop that we got here, we're going to pass it as a prop to the crypto list component. So let me come here and show you what I mean. What I mean is I'm going to come to this crypto list right here at the top of the component, and I'm just going to come here and destructure out the coins like so. Okay, so this coins here is what I'm mapping through right here. Great. All right, so now let's see, before we write out the structure here, we need to get out all the properties that we're going to need from the coin. So I'll come here and destructure it out. By the properties, what I mean is, let me inspect my console and show you what I mean. So if you look at the console here, okay, so this is not it. This is where I want to be. So if you look at the console here, you will see that we have the object, and if you open that, you're going to see that we have a coin. So a single coin has the following properties here. So we have things like the ID, the name, the price change, and all of that. So we're just going to grab all these properties out of this guy here, because we're going to need it. So here I'm going to come here and destructure it out. So I'll say const, and I'll set it to be equal to coin. All right, then here I'll just destructure all the properties that I need. So for example, I need the ID, I need the name of the coin, then I need the icon, I also need the let me see, do I need the symbol? Okay, symbol. I may not use everything, but let me just grab everything that I need. So I need the price, then I need the, what else do I need? The price change in 1 day, that's 24 hours, sorry, 1 day. Then what else? Then I need the market cap, so market cap. Okay, so for this particular guy here, these are the things I need. Great. So I will now come here inside of this my table row. The thing is, I want each of the items to be clickable. So if you come here, let me close this guy up, sorry. If you come here, you'll notice that each of these items here, they are clickable. So if you click on Bitcoin, for example, it's going to take you to the Bitcoin page. Yeah, so you see, it's taking me to the Bitcoin page. So that's exactly what I want. So for that to be possible, I need to put a link around this table row. So here I'll say link, I'll tap that. Let me open it up like this, and then the table row is going to go inside the link. Now this link, first off, you need to import it. Let me see if I can auto import it. So it's not auto importing, so I'll just do it manually. So I'll say import link from, and open that up. So this is going to be next / link, like so. All right, so let's come down here, and yeah, so this link is going to have a href. Okay, so first let me just give it the key, because you know we did a map here. So to get rid of this error, I'm just going to give it a key and set the key to be the ID, and the ID is coming from this guy here. So you see, All right. Also, I want the link to have a href of, so that's going to be equal to, and because I want it to be dynamic, I'm going to open my curly braces, and the first one here, I'm just going to say a forward slash. So I want it to go to forward slash and the ID of this particular coin, or of the particular coin that I'm clicking on. So I'm just going to point to the ID. Okay, so I hope you see what's going on. I think at this point I should actually just expand this so that it's in a straight line. Okay, great. So this is better. So the link has a key of ID, which is going to be unique for every coin. Then the href is going to forward slash the name or the ID of that particular coin. So now let's work on the tr that's inside it. So first off, I gotta open this guy, and we're going to have the table data. So td, let me tap that. We're going to have 5 of these, so 2, 3, 4, 5. The first one is supposed to be under the serial number, which is this serial number here. So here I'm just going to come here and open my curly braces, and the serial number is going to be the index plus 1, and the index here is coming from this guy here, this index, and you know it's going to start from 0, so that's why we are saying index plus 1. So 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 2, so on and so forth. Next we have the coin. So what do we need for the coin? What do we want to display in the coin area? So what we want to display is, we want to display the logo of the coin and this BTC, the short name for the coin. Okay, so here I would come back and expand this guy. Let's come down here. Excuse me. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to have an image. So let's have an image which we're going to close. The image is going to have several properties. So first it's going to be the source, which we're going to set to be equal to, and I'll open this up for now. Then we're going to have an alt tag, which we're just going to say coin image. So coin image, or you know what, we can even make it dynamic. So instead of just having something static, we're going to say the name of the coin. So name. Then we're going to have a width, and that is going to be set to 20, so 20 pixels. And we're also going to have a height, which is also going to be set to 20. Great. So now what are we going to do about the source for this coin? Well, that's actually this icon here. See this icon? It's the URL for the particular coin. So ideally I should just say icon, but if you do like this, it's not going to work. It's going to throw an error. Let me import this image first, then I'll save this file. So I'll try. Okay, it's not important, so I have to do it manually. I'll duplicate this guy, change this to image, and change this also to image. Okay, now if I go ahead and save this file, let's see what will happen. We're going to have an error because of that image. So I'll cancel this guy. Oh, okay, because I'm not even displaying the coin yet. All right, but anyway, there's no point. Just know that we're going to have an error, and I'll show you how that works. So whenever you're adding a URL to this image tag, all right, whenever you're adding a URL as the source for an image tag in NextJS, you have to specify to NextJS config file that you're going to be getting an image from that particular URL. Let me show you what I mean. So if you come to this finished project and you inspect F12, you will see here that we have, for this object here, let's open this up and open the first one. You see this icon here, it's pointing to this particular URL, right? So you need to tell NextJS, I'll copy this URL. You need to tell, okay, it needs to be the static.app. Yeah. So you need to tell NextJS that you're going to be fetching image from this URL, so that NextJS will give this URL the adequate permission to, you know, allow you fetch images with it. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. So we're good to do that. We're going to go to the config file. So I'll open this guy here, and if you scroll down, you will see our NextJS config file. All right, so let me close this up. Now this config file, well, it's okay. Let's just modify it. So first off, I'll just get rid of this guy here, and I'll set it to be equal to an object which I'm going to open up, right? So the first thing I want to do inside of this object is I want to add an images property plural, and I'll open that up and say that I want to give permission to domains, and then I'll specify the domains that I want to give permission to. So it's going to be an array of domains, but in our case we just have one. So I'll paste that in, and you don't need this HTTPS, so it's just static.coinstart.app, and that's fine. All right, then I'll come here, add a comma, and then below that I'll just grab this React strict mode. I'll copy that and then I'll paste that bottom here. Great. So because we've put all of this here, we don't need this NextJS config anymore, because what was in the config now has entered here. So I can just get rid of this guy like so. So this is how you specify to Next.js that you want to fetch a URL, sorry, an image from a particular URL. If you had multiple URLs, all you just need to do is add a comma and add the remaining URLs you want to fetch an image from. But in our case, we are done. So here I'm just going to save this file, and because you've saved and made changes to the config file, you actually need to restart your application. So if you see here, it says found a change, restart your server to see the change effect. So I'm going to do Ctrl+C to close my server, and then I'll run npm run dev one more time. Okay, so that's it. All right, so we've restarted our server. Now I can come back to my crypto list, and now this should work. All right, so inside of this second TD here, after we've added the image, if you look at the finished project, you'll see that we now added this BTC. So that's actually the symbol for the cryptocurrency. So I'm just going to come below the image here, and I'll just add I'll add this guy to NB SP to just give a space, and then below that I'll add the symbol, so SYMBOL, like so. Okay, now save this file. But we need to, at this point, we need to start seeing the changes we are making to the file. So let's come to the index.js and let's reference our crypto list components. So just below my hero section, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to reference my crypto list like so, and I'll auto import it, and then I'll close it up. Now this crypto list, it has to have a prop, because remember we referenced a prop in the crypto list component itself. So if you look up here, you see where we reference this coins prop. So we're going to come here and we're going to catch that, so coins, and I'll set it to be equal to, and it's going to be equal to this coins here that we got from our getStaticProp method. So here I'm just going to come down here and I'll say coins. All right, that's simple enough. Now let's go ahead and save, and let's see if everything works. Okay, so we have a mistake here, and it's not a mistake really, it's just something we missed out. Now we are pointing to coins here, which is this guy. But if you check our console, let me just show you. I'll do F12 here. You will notice that the coins is actually an object. So if you open the first one here, you see it's an object that has an array inside it. So what you need to do is to point to the coins array that is inside the coins object. So I'm just going to close this up here, and in my index.js, instead of just pointing to my coins here, which is an object, I'll say coins dot coins, which is the array. I'll save that, and that should get rid of our error. And you see here we now have at least the markup we've added to our crypto list, which is just the image and the symbol. So next we have the price. All right, so I'll come to the third TD here, and ideally if you just say price, you should be able to see the price of the various cryptocurrency. But this looks awful. This is definitely not what we want. So we need to find a way to format this price. So 20, for example, after this 20 there should be a comma to show that it's $20,968. So what we're going to do is, because we're going to need to do the same thing with several other things, we're going to have a function that will just handle that for us, and we're going to actually be doing that with regex. Now because regex is such a complicated thing on its own, I will not want to actually start explaining what each item does in my regex. I'm just going to copy and paste in that function to format the numbers. So I'll just come down here and paste that in. So essentially what this function will do is that it will format this number, and after every 1 2 3 characters from the end, it will add a comma. All right, so that's what this format number does. So I'll come down here and I would, where's my price? Great, so this is it here. So instead of just having the price here, I will say format numbers, and then I would wrap this price around parentheses, so it's going to be the arguments to the format numbers. However, I don't want to stop there. I also want to make it, so let me just, okay, I also want to make it such that after this dot, this decimal point here, we have just two numbers. So here I'll just say dot to fix, so I'll use it to fix method, JavaScript method, and I'll say that I just want two numbers after the dots. If I save that, you see here it has formatted the number and we have just two numbers after the dots. Great. So that's for the price. So the next, we have the change in 24 hours. So that is coming from this price change 1 day. So just grab that and I'll just come here and like so, I would paste it in. So save. Great. So this is the various change in 24 hours. Now there's an issue here. The issue is that when there is a depreciation in the value, we want it to be red. When there is an appreciation in the value of the cryptocurrency, we want it to be green. So let me show you what that means. So if you come here, you see that this is red and this is green, which means that in the last 24 hours, this coin has gone up by 0.85%. And like so for this one, it has gone down by 0.13%. That's what it means. All right, great. So basically, we're going to have a function that will handle that for us because we're going to need that functionality in several places in our application. So I'm going to create a function that will check the what's it called, the change in 24 hours, and set the color based on that. So I'll come here and just below this format number here, I'm going to create a function, and because I'll be needing that function somewhere else, I'll export it here. I'll call that function check price. I wanted to say check price change, but check price is fine, and that's going to be equal to, let's use our arrow function syntax like so, and I'll open it up. Now this function is going to have a parameter. I'll just name that parameter p. Okay, then inside here, let's say const, and I'll say price change, and that's going to be equal to, now there's a math method that can check a particular number and tell us whether that number is negative or positive. So that method is math.sign. All right, so in this math.sign, I'll pass the p, which is this parameter here. Of course, you know that it's going to come in as the argument when we call this function. So now if a number is -1, this math.p is going to be negative. It's going to be -1. If a number is plus, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if a number is in the positive, this math.p is going to be 1, so it's positive. So what I'll come here is, I'll just come down here and I'll add an if statement. So I'll say if, and I'll open this up. I'll say if the price change is equal to triple equals, and I'll say -1, then I want the, let me open this up. Then I want to return something. So I'll say I'll return a string red. Okay, else. So let's come to the else part. Else, we're just going to return another string and we'll call this green. Okay, so this is the function that will check the price change and return something based on whether the price change is going up or coming down. I hope you see what's going on here. So let's come down here to where we have the price change, which is here, and inside here we're going to have a class name. So here I'm going to say class name, and I'm going to have, it's going to be dynamic. So let's have a statement here. We're going to call the function that checks the price. So here I'll say check price, and I will pass an argument. What's the argument I want to pass? Well, it's going to be this price change here. So I'll just come here and pass the price change for 1 day. Okay, then I would simply save that. So let's save and let's see if it works. Aha, so you see already we have, okay, so you see everything is green because the cryptocurrency, they are all going up at this point. If you give it some time, you see that some will maybe start going down and stuff like that, but for now everything is green. In fact, I would have loved to have some that were going down. Let's see how it is. Anyway, let's just continue. So this is the price change in 1 day. Fine. So what's the last thing we need to do? And that is the market cap. So I'm going to come here. So for the market cap, it's going to be very long number. So we're just going to format it just the same way we did this guy here. You know what? I can actually just copy all of this guy in this table data. I'll copy that. I'll come to this last table data here and I'll paste it in, and I'll just change this price to market cap. So market cap, like so, and then I'll save. Now the market cap should be displayed here, and you see this is it. Now market cap is actually in dollars. The price is also in dollars here. So what we can do is in the front of this guy we can just add the dollar sign, and same for the price. So the price here we can add the dollar sign. If you save that, you will now see here that we now have the dollar sign in front of everything. Remember, we are only just fetching 10 cryptocurrencies. Eventually we're going to fetch much more cryptocurrencies, and we're going to put a pagination here. But of course you don't want to fetch like 100 cryptocurrencies on one page. You don't want to do that. You want to paginate. All right, so now what we're going to do next is we're going to have a dynamic route such that when you click on this any cryptocurrency, it will open another page and give you some details about that. So that's what we're going to do next. So now what we want to achieve is when we click on a particular coin, we want to go to a page that will show us more details about that coin, and that page has to be dynamic. So we're going to work on dynamic routes or dynamic pages. The way you're going to start is we're going to come to our file explorer here, and inside of pages, right, let me show you how we can create a dynamic route. So I'll create a new file, and I'm going to open my square bracket, and inside the square bracket I'm going to have the ID, which is going to represent the dynamic page, and it's going to be id.js. So .js, like so. So this is how you create a dynamic route in NextJS. So if I hit enter to save that, you see here we have this id.js. I know it may look confusing, the syntax looks confusing, but just stick with me, it's going to actually make sense. Let me close the ones we're not using anymore so that we have space here. We don't need this. Great. So I'm going to do RAFCE, and I'll just tap that. And of course you don't want your components to say ID, so we're going to change this to coin, so just a single coin, like so. So let's just do the initial boilerplate. I'm going to delete this guy here, and I'm going to make this my layout. Okay, so let's auto import that as well. So layout. Great. Now inside of my layout I'm going to have a section. So I'll come here and I'll say section, tap that. Now this section I'm going to actually give it an inline class. So just like in React, you can actually have your inline styles as well. So for example, I can come here and just say background. So background, and then I can just set it to whatever I want. In my case, I just want it to be hash color like this. All right, so I'll come in here and I'll have a container, tap that, and inside the container I'm just going to have my h1 that will say coin details, like so. Great. So remember, this is supposed to be a dynamic route. So let's go ahead and save this guy, and this dynamic route is located inside of our pages folder. What this means is that if I come here and say, let me expand this guy, localhost / maybe 1, and hit enter, then it should take me to that dynamic route we just created. Watch it. Okay, so you see coin details. If I come here and say localhost / maybe BTC and hit enter, it will still keep me on this particular coin details page. Great. So now we're going to now work on this guy. Remember, if you go to the home page, right, from the home page you can click on any particular cryptocurrency. Oh, I've not made this clickable. Okay, so let me just go to the home page from here. I'm not sure I made this guy clickable. Okay, so from the home page you can click on any particular cryptocurrency and it should bring you to this coin details page. Okay, so now let's minimize this coin details page and get to work. Now in NextJS, there is something that actually happens that is different from how creating a dynamic route works in React. if you want to create a dynamic route in React, under the hood, NextJS is actually going to create a particular number of pages that will match the route you have. So if you look at our home page, you realize that we have 10 coins here. So, and these 10 coins are supposed to display on this dynamic id.js. Yes, what NextJS will do is that it will create 10 pages such that each of these 10 cryptocurrencies will have their own page where they display, but it does that for us under the hood. In other words, we're not going to see it in the on the page right here, except maybe after we've built our project. So it does it on the server. So there is a way we need to specify to Next.js the number of pages we're going to need for a particular dynamic route, and that is going to be using a method called getStaticPath. Okay, so let me show you how that works. So just like our getStaticProps, we're going to come down just below this guy here, and we're going to export a function I will create. So I'll say export const, and the name of that function is get static, not props, but paths, like so. And let's open it up with an arrow function. So it's going to be async as well, async, and I'll open that up. Great. Now inside of this function, we are still going to go ahead and fetch the data. So to save some time, I'm just going to go to my index.js and grab a little bit of the text here. So I'm going to grab these two, I'll copy that, and I'll come back here, and we're going to fetch. So this is response await fetch, and we're fetching the data from this URL. Then we're saving the data to this data variable and await response.json, which is great. Now we're going to take this a step further, and I'll come down here and then I'll define the path. So I'll say const path, plural, because we're going to have more than one path that will define the number of pages we want this dynamic route to have, and that's going to be equal to, now I'll map through this data. Okay, remember this data is an object that has a coins array inside of it. So I'll say data dot coins. Now this is the array I want to map through, so I'll say coins dot map. Let's open that up like this, and I represent every item inside as a single coin. Let's open it up, and we're going to return something. So I'll come here and return. Okay, open that up, and what we want to return is the params. So params. So I'm sure this is looking very similar to what happens when we are trying to create a dynamic route in React. We've used params before, so we're going to say params and open it up, and it's going to have, and we're going to give it an ID property that we are going to set to the particular coin ID. So here we're going to point to coin dot ID dot, we need to convert this to a string. Okay, so I'll say to string, like so. So what we've done here is that we've just told Next.js the number of items we want to be able to display on this dynamic route. In our case, it's going to be 10 because we're just fetching 10 items from that URL. Great. Now the next thing we need to do next is we need to come down after this path here. We need to return something. So I will come here and come down, and I'll return the path. So I'll say return. Let's open that up, and path. It's actually going to be an object, so path that will point to these paths here. But in ES6, if the property name and the value are the same, then you don't need to specify, just do it once and that will be fine. Then next, we're going to now have what is known as a fallback. I'm not going to explain what that is now, but maybe if I do another tutorial, I will. So I'll just say fallback, and then I'm going to set it to false. All right. So we are done with this first get static path method here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to now get the static props. Okay, again, but now we're going to specify the ID of the particular coin we want to get. So let me come here. You know what, to save time, I'm just going to come here because I've done this before, and I'll just grab all of these get static props. So here I'll just grab it. Oh, sorry, that was too fast. So come here and yeah, okay, I'll copy that and then I'll come back here. Of course, I'm going to make some modifications, so just watch me closely. Let me paste that in. Okay, so const export getStaticProps. Like I said, we want to get the information or the data for a single coin here. And how are we going to get that coin? We're going to get it via the ID. Okay, so and that ID is going to come from this guy here. You see this ID here? This is where we're going to get it from. So I'm going to come here, and first off, I'm going to pass a context property here inside of this place. I'll say context xt. Okay, I'll pass that parameter there and I'll open it up. So I'll tap that, and here I'll say const ID, and that is going to be equal to, so we're going to now say context dot params dot id. Okay, so this ID here essentially is pointing to this params ID here via this context parameter. Okay, I hope you see what's going on here. Great. So now we want to fetch this particular ID. Want to fetch the properties for this particular coin ID. So how are we going to do that? We're going to modify this place here. So I'll say coins, and this is fetching everything, but what we want to fetch is just the data for one particular coin. So after this coin here, right, I'm going to delete everything that comes after. So let's just delete everything like this, because the URL is actually going to change. So it's going to be coins / okay, then I'll just come outside here and let me just concatenate the ID. So I'll say plus ID. Now you can use string interpolation to, do this in one stroke, but I mean, it achieves the same thing. So essentially, I'm just attaching the ID to this URL. That's great. Data is going to do await the response.json. That's same. The props, we're going to return the props, and we're not returning coins plural, we're returning a single coin, and that's going to point to data as well. So you see here, we've been able to first of all define the number of paths that we need for this particular dynamic route. In other words, how many pages are we expected to create? How many pages is NextJS expected to create for this dynamic route? Then from that, we're able to get the ID, okay, of the individual items. Then after we got the ID, we now came here and used getStaticProp to fetch the information for that particular coin via the ID. So you see what's going on here. So how can we be sure that we've actually gotten this data? I'm going to come here to my return statement, and here I'll just do a console.log of the coin. So here I'll just say coin, which is coming from this getStaticProp right here. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and save this file, and let's see if it actually works. Okay, so I gotta come here and let me just open any coin. Okay, so we are getting an error here, and that's from the console.log. And okay, I think I know why that error is being generated. So let me just be sure. What does it say? It says coin is not defined. Oh, that's because we need to actually catch that prop here first. So I'll come here and say coin and save, and that should get rid of the error. Okay, so now if we open this up and we clicked on Ethereum, so you see Ethereum is right here, and we inspect our console, then aha. So maybe I should refresh the page. So if you expand this guy and you check your console, then you should see the data that of the individual coin. In our case is Ethereum. Yes, so you see we have this Ethereum object here, and if you open it up, you'll see that we now have the details for Ethereum. Good. So I can close this guy up now, and we can now finish up this dynamic page section. So I'll go up here, and so this is where we did our console.log. We don't need to do any console.log anymore, so I'll just delete this guy, and we can now add the main markup. So I'll come inside of my, after this h1 here, I'm going to have a div. Let me show you what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so this is what we are trying to achieve, something like this. All right, so I'll just minimize that, and here we're just going to have a div. So div, tap that. This div is going to have okay, so it's going to have a class name of, so I'll use my utility classes. So I'll say flex hyphen start, then I'll say dash dash column reverse mn hyphen reverse. And you don't actually need to memorize this stuff, just use it for this particular project. You don't need to use it again. All right, so what I want is, I want inside of this div, I'm going to have two cards. So this first card and then this other card. So let's start by doing that. So I'll come here, I'll create another div. Let me tap that. You know what, I'll just duplicate this. Let me separate it, and this first div is going to have a class name, class name of, so first off, it's going to have a class name of card. So card, then I want it to be card blue. So dash dash card hyphen blue. Then lastly, I want it to have some margin on the right, so mr. Great. All right, so now inside of this guy here is where we are going to have these components you see here, this Bitcoin and all of these guys here. So how do we go about that? So first off, I'm going to add a h4. So h4, and I'll tap that. The h4 will simply point the name of the cryptocurrency. So I'll say name. Okay, so but for this name now, it's going to throw an error because we've not actually let me see, we've not actually destructured and gotten out all the individual properties from the coin. All right, so for us to do that, see this coin here, we have to destructure it. So I'll come just below that, let me give one space here, and I'll say const. I'll open my curly braces and I'll destructure. This is going to now be equal to coin, and remember this coin is an object, so there's another object inside it, and the name of that object is also coin. So coin.coin. Now inside this guy here, we are now going to get all the properties that we need, but we've already written out all these properties before when we worked in the, I think it's the crypto list. So look at them, these properties, we're just going to grab everything here, okay, because it's not going to change. I'll copy that, I'll come here and I'll paste that in. We're just going to have some additional, properties inside of it, so let me just grab some additional properties and then we're good to go. So to save time, I would also just copy them and I'll paste them in. So I think I'll get rid of the market cap and paste the remaining. So you see, price change in 1 day, in 1 hour, in 1 week, market cap, total supply, website URL, and coin rank. Those are the properties we need. Great. So now if you come here and see this name, it's no longer showing an error. However, you see this h4 here, I want it to have a class name. I'll give it a color of danger, so something that looks like red. Okay, so what do we have next? We have the price. So I'll come here, I can even, okay, I'll just come here, I have another h4, tap that, then I'll just point to the price. Now remember the way we did the price before, we did some kind of formatting and stuff like that. So first off here, I'll say price, and then I'll just grab the formatting we did before. If you come here to where we listed the price, let me expand this so that I can be a little bit faster. So this is the price here. So you see this formatting thing we did here, I'll just grab it and I'll copy that and I'll come here. So first of all, before I can use it in here, I have to import this format number from that place we created it. So I'll come here and import it. So I'll say format number and I'll import it. All right, so that's for the price. Then what do we have next? Oh, I actually need to see what we have next. Then we have the rank. So that's going to be straightforward. I would come here, add another h4, and that's going to say rank. So rank, and we're just going to point to the rank of the coin. Okay, so that's it. Now below that, we're now going to have this unordered list and list items in there. So I'll come below this guy and I'll just have my unordered list. I'll tap that. Then I'm going to have this unordered list. Let's give it a class name. So class name of coin details, coin hyphen details. Then inside here, we're just going to have some list items. So I'll tap that. How do we destructure it? So we have this guy here, and then there's this guy here. So I'll come here and I'll have two spans. So span, tap that and duplicate it. So the first one is going to say change in 1 hour. So copy this guy and paste it in. You know what? Let me just duplicate it first. Okay. So for the first one, we're going to say change in 1 hour, and okay, I think I made a mistake here. Control Z. Okay, yeah. So change in 1 hour, and the next one would just point to this change here. So we're also going to use the check price. So remember, we created this function to check the price. So let me come here and show you what I mean. So yeah, so this function here we created to check the price. We exported it. All right, so I'm going to come to this guy here and I'm going to import that function. So just come down here and I'll say import check price. Okay, so that's it. And okay, so check price, let me copy it, then I'll delete that. All right, so what we're going to do is in this first place here, we're going to now have our change let me just confirm how we did that. Oh, so it's price change 1 hour. I almost forgot. So price change in 1 hour. Great. So this is going to have a class. So we're going to come and give it a class name. Let's tab that, and dynamic class name, by the way. So we're going to say check price, and we're going to pass it an argument. The argument is going to be the price change in 1 hour. Okay, that's it essentially. So if you save that and I think maybe we should come and be viewing what we're doing here. So you see, we now have this price change in 1 hour. Okay. All right, so what do we have next? We have the price in 24 hours and the price in 1 week. So let's just duplicate this guy here, this list item. I'll just come here and I'll duplicate it and I'll just change the key things here. So this is going to be price in 24 hours here. So let's do 24. Then we're going to change this guy also here to, I think 24 hours is 1 day. So 1D. Then this is also going to be 1D. Yeah. So that's it for 24 hours. Then we're going to duplicate this also for 1 week. So duplicate it downwards, and this is just going to be changed to 1 week. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 week, like so. And this is going to change to 1W. Aha, so that's correct. And this is also going to be changed to 1W. Yeah, great. Then next we have the market cap. So for the market cap, I think we'll just use this one. So let me just duplicate this downwards. What do we have? So we have market cap. I'll copy that, paste that in here like so. Then the market cap is actually something we've done before, so we can actually just get it. So that's in crypto list. So if you come to the last data here, so you see we have this market cap here. So we're just going to grab that. Okay, it needs to start from here. So we're going to grab all of that. I'll copy that, and then I'll come here and slot in the market cap here. Aha. So next we have the total supply. So I'll duplicate this guy down like this, and here we're just going to grab this text that says total supply, and then I'll paste that in. Then for this is going to be 21 million. So we're going to need to format numbers here again. So I'll say format, it's supposed to be inside here like this, and then I'll say format numbers. And what do we want to format? We want to format the total supply. I'm not sure what we use for that. Let's just check. Okay, so that's actually total supply. So I'll come down here and I'll say total supply. So the next thing is we have the website. So let's grab that website and I'll come here, paste that in website. Then for the span, this is actually going to be a bit more tricky. So the websites for each of the individual cryptocurrencies, they actually differ. Some of them are HTTPS, some of them are HTTPS / www dot, stuffs like that. Some of them are just HTTP. All right, so for the text that displays here, you just want to show the name of the website. Okay, so in this second span here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an a tag inside here. So we're going to have an a tag, and the href is going to be dynamic. It will just point to the website URL, so it's right there. But you see what, and we want it to open in a new tab, so we're going to set the target to be set to underscore blank. Oh, sorry about that. So target is going to be set to underscore blank. Now whenever you use underscore blank, there's some sort of security risk, so you have to set the rel to no referrer. So no referrer to mitigate that risk, RRER. Okay, so you see NextJS even helped us out. So next you need to now specify the text that will be on the link. So in our case, we want it to be the website URL, so website URL, right? But this website URL, like I told you, it actually differs. So let me save this file first, and let's come here and see. Okay, and okay, oh, all right, so the color is actually white, so we're going to change the color to something else. So but you see here, this is https / www dot, you don't want this, you just want to show ethereum.org. However, when they click on it, it will go to the particular URL. So first off, I'm going to change the color of this guy to maybe something bluish. So I'll come to this link, and after this guy here, I'll just add a class name, which I'm going to set to -- color -primary. All right, that's it. Then for this website URL, I want to modify it. So you know what, I'm just going to replace all the relevant things here. So I'll just come here and say website. I'll come to the next line, let me tap that, and I'll say dot replace. And what do I want to replace? So let me just open my parentheses here. Oh, there needs to be a dot here so that it's, yeah, so dot replace. And first off, I want to replace anything that is http and then : www dot, I want to replace it with, I'll add a comma here and I'll say empty string. Forgive me, I need to make this bigger so that it's easier for me. Okay, so that's the first one, and let me push this to another line just to make things a little bit easier. So now I will duplicate this. After you've replaced this, I also want to replace anything that has https with an empty string. Then I will duplicate it, and I also want to replace anything that is just http, okay, with an empty string. Then lastly, I want to replace the / at the end. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'll come here and say that I want to replace the / at the end of the link with an empty string. That way we are only going to have, the name of the website. So let me actually just close this up, save, and let's see what we have. So I'll save this, and yeah, so you see we now have ethereum.org. So the last thing we need to do is the second part of this guy, which is this Bitcoin card. So I'll just come down here, and this is it right here. I'll open it up, okay, and then I'll come here and give it a class name. So class name is going to be -- card. Then we're also going to have the background. So here I'll just say -- bg -primary. Okay, all right, so now what do we want to have inside of this particular class? So first off, let me have a div, and this div, open it up, is going to have a class name. So class name, and that's going to be set to -- so I'll do flex start, and then I'm also going to do align center -- align -center, like so. All right, so inside here I want to have an image. So image, like so. and let's close it up. And this image is actually going to be very similar to the image we had in our crypto list. So let me save us some time and let me just grab this image here. So this is the image here. I'll just copy that and I'll come back here and slot it in like so. Now the difference is that this image is going to have a width of, instead of 20, it's going to be 50 because I want it to be bigger. So 50. Then I'm going to import image at the top. So I'll come here and I'll say import image from, and it's going to be next / image like so. Now I can now come back down and you see that the image doesn't have any issues anymore. So now that we've imported the image, what's next? So I'm going to add my space, so an NBSP, so NBSP, and then like so, but I want to do it twice, so copy that and paste it again. Great. So after that, I want to add this text here, the BTC and the Bitcoin. That is going to be inside a span. So I'll say span, tap that, and first off, I'll put it inside a paragraph. So P, and it's going to say, let's open that up, and we're going to say symbol SYMBOL. Let me, okay, sorry, just a minute. Let me duplicate this, and this one is going to say name. Then I'll change this to H2 rather. So H2. Great. Now I want both of them to have a class name of text white. So I'll do like this and say class name. I'll tap that, class name. Okay, I'll tap that and then I'll say -- text -light. So that will just make them white. So I'll go ahead and save, and let's come to the finished product and see what we have. Voila. So you see here we have the logo for Ethereum, and we have the, these guys here, and everything looks fine. So the total supply is where we're having some issues, because not zero, definitely not zero for the total supply. So let's come back here to the total supply and see what the problem is. So we did total supply format numbers, and we slot in the total supply, which seems to be the right thing, but let me just be sure. Total supply, and that's correct. So I actually opened that of Bitcoin and I saw that the total supply is 21 million, which is correct. So apparently that error is coming from the database or whatever. Maybe it's not even an error, but it's coming from the database. So everything is actually working just as is. So in the next one, we're now going to do a quick run through of everything we've achieved so far in building this project. Okay, so we've been able to fetch the individual details for a particular coin. Now what I want us to do is I want us to add the search functionality for our list of coins. So if you see here, we have this search coin input field, and when you search for something, it will filter the coin and show you what you're looking for. So that's what we're going to do right now. So to do that, first off, I got to create a new component. I'll come here and I'll go to my components folder, which is right here. I'll create a new component which I'll call search.js like so, and inside of that excuse me, I'll just do RAFCE to create a React component, and here I'll create an input field. So here, let's open this up and let's just have an input like so, input, and I'll just tap that. Okay, so it's going to be a type of text and it's going to have a placeholder that will say search coin. All right, next we're going to give it a value. Okay, so let's give it a value, and that's going to be set to be equal to value. Then we're going to give it an unchange that is also going to be set to unchange like so. Yeah, now remember, these are props that we're going to need to use whenever we use these components we're creating right now. So we have to add it here at the top here. So I'll just destructure, and then I'll have my value, which is going to be small letter, so value and unchange. And that's about it for this search component. So all you got to do is save it. And now we're going to have to go back to our crypto list and incorporate this search component there. So I'll go to my crypto list, and before I put in the search component, I would like to create a use state. So let me come inside here and I'll just create my use state like so. And I'll just use my use state snippet and I'll call this search like so. All right, so this search here, let's capitalize this second one, and here initially we're going to make it an empty string. Don't forget that we're going to have to import use state from React as well. So I'll just say use, sorry, it needs to be in curly braces. I'll say use state. Great. Now there are some things we need to do. So first off, let's come inside of our return statement, just above our table. I'll come down here and I will incorporate my search component. So I'll say like so, I'll say search. Okay, that's it. I'll auto import it as well, and then I'll close it up. Now this search component, we're going to have to reference the props we created. The first one is the value prop, which is going to point to our value state here. The second one is the onChange prop, which is going to point to a function that we're going to call handle search. And remember, we've not created this function, so I'm going to create the function right away. I'll come just below this guy here and I would create an arrow function, which I'm going to call handle search. I'll pass an E here. Let me open this handle search up, and basically what I want to do for this function is that I want to say set search to, and this is going to be event.target.value. All right, so with this we're going to be able to identify whatever is typed into the search input. Okay, and we can do something with it. But what do we want to do with it? However, anyway, let me save this page first so that we can actually see that search input field here. Oh, so I have an error here. It says value is not defined. Oh, sorry, it needs to be search, not value. Sorry about that. So I'll come here and change this here to search, because that's the name of the state we created. So if you save that, this error should disappear and we should be able to see our input field here. Okay, so the input field is not styled. That's because I forgot to add the style. And on this div here, I'm just going to add a class name of form control like so. So dash dash form hyphen control, and then I'll just save that, and of course you see that this will become start. Yeah, so that's a lot better. Great. So let's come back to our crypto list, and then we'll add the functionality such that when we search, it will filter the list of cryptocurrencies to match what we search. And I'm going to do that just below this guy here. So let me add a comment and say search coins. All right, I'm going to do that inside a use effect. So here I'll just add my use effect like so. I'll open that up like this, and I would expand it, and I want it to have, it's going to have some dependencies. Let me just put the dependency array first. I'll leave it empty. So what I'm going to do inside this use effects is that I'll write a function that will filter the coin. But before I do that, I will need to create another piece of state. So let me come here and I'll just duplicate this state, and I will call this next state filtered coin. So let me do that once. So here I'm just going to say filtered coins. All right, then it's going to be an empty array. Okay, so I'll just close that and then just put an empty array there initially. So inside of my use effect, which is here, what I want to do is I'll say set. Okay, I don't think I capitalized the second filtered coin. Let me just be sure. Right here, filtered. Okay, so I didn't capitalize it, so let me just quickly capitalize that. Yeah, set filtered coin. So I'll come back inside my use effect and I'll say set filtered coin. All right, let's open up our parentheses here, and basically what we want to do is we're going to take the original prop, which is this coins prop, and we're going to perform a filter array method on top of it. So I'm going to open this my guy here and I'll say coins dot filter, and let's open that up. So each item inside of the coins array will be represented as a single coin, and then I'll just go ahead and open it up like this. So what I want to do now is I want to match the name of the coin to what is typed inside here. Okay, so here I'll just say coin dot name. Remember, there's a name property for the coin, and then I want to convert it to lowercase. So that's going to be to lowercase. Okay, I was expecting Visual Studio Code to help me. So to lowercase, then I want to check for if it includes anything that is typed into this input field. So I'll say dot includes, and I would open this guy up, and then I'll just say search. You remember we tied this input field to the search state, but I also want to convert the search to lowercase. So I'll say dot to lowercase, like so. All right, so that's how we can, you know, filter the list of coins here to match whatever we type into the search. But if you notice here, we've not added the dependency array. That's why we're having this yellow line. So what we need to do is we need to add the dependency array. So I'll come here, and there are two things I need to add. The first is the search, so I'll say search, and the second is the coin. So that's it. So you see the error is gone. All things being equal, if I save this guy, I should be able to, okay, so let me see. Oh, I forgot to import use effect. Sorry about that. So let's do that quickly. Use effect, and I'll just add a comma here and say use effect and save, and that should get rid of this error. Immediately after I delete this one that was auto imported, then I'll save, and voila. So you see the error is gone. So now let me try and search for something here. So I'll just say bit. So I'll say bit coin. Okay, so something is definitely wrong here. Let's just figure it out quickly. So apparently I was just too eager to test out this functionality that I've not added the filtered coin to the page. So remember, if you come inside of our table, you will notice that we are mapping through the coins. What we want to map through at this point is the filtered coins, okay, which, you remember, this operation here we did use effect is, you know, filtering the coins here, and we are setting it to the filtered coins. So if you come here, we just need to change these coins to filtered coins. So I'll just say filtered coins, and now we can go ahead and test out. Okay, so we save that, it refreshes, and then you see it has already started taking effect. So if you come here and you say bit, everything that has to do with Bitcoin will be filtered out. Let's do US, and you see we have everything that has to do with US, so USDC and BUSD. Great. So that's it for the search functionality. Now in the next one, we're going to add the functionality to pagination, to add pagination to the coins, so that we can show maybe an infinite number of coins or 100 coins and just show 10 on the page, and then there's this pagination guy here that can, you know, switch between the coins. All right, that's what we'll do now. All right, so to add the pagination component, we're going to use an npm package just to speed things up. So I'm just going to drag this here and show you the exact package we're going to use. So it's called React Paginate. Now, in my React course, I actually built out the pagination component from scratch. So that's something you may want to check out if you want to actually go deep into React. So I would copy this guy here, and I'm just going to install it. So let me come here. I'll open another terminal. So let's open another terminal, and here I'll just paste in that npm install react paginate and hit enter. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes, so I'm just going to pause the video and we'll be back. All right, so the package has finished installing. So let's minimize this guy back, and I'm just going to bring in the browser here just so that we can see the documentation. So it's a very simple straightforward package that we can use. These items here represent the number of what you want to paginate. So in our case, it's just this simple items here with this array of 1 to 14. However, we already have our own data that we want to paginate, which is coming from the API that gives us the cryptocurrency data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here and I'll just grab this everything inside of this component here. So this is actually a component, paginated items. So I'm going to grab everything inside of it. So let me just scroll down to see where it ends. Yeah, so you see this is where it ends here. So I'll just grab this guy and yeah, everything. So I'll copy that, and that's all we need to paginate of that's half of what we need to paginate our component. So I'll just minimize this guy and I'm going to come into the crypto list and let's do it somewhere. Okay, I'll just put it at the bottom here. So I'll add a comment. So let me add a comment and see paginate or begin paginate, begin pagination, and then I'll duplicate it and make this end pagination so that we can just know what is where. I'll paste that in and let's get rid of all of the comments so that this is a lean code. So I'll just okay, yeah, that's part of it. I'll remove all the comments. So let's even start from the top where we're beginning. Remove this comment and remove this comment as well. Then we have this one. Then what else? Console.log, we don't need that as well, so remove that. Okay, so yes, there's one more console.log, this one here, which we don't need, so I remove that. So that will keep this file very lean. Okay, great. So now what's going on inside this pagination component? Remember from the documentation there was this array of items that they were going to paginate. That's what is actually here. See these items here, items, and there's one more of it. Yeah, items.length. So what we want to do is we don't want to paginate items, we want to paginate our filtered coins because that's what we are mapping through currently. So I'm just going to take these filtered coins here, I'll copy that and I'll replace everything that where we find the items. So this is the first place, items.slice. So I'll just put my cursor there. Then there's this one, items.length. I'll put the cursor there. Then there's the last one, which is items.length as well. So I'll put another cursor there. So I'll just change it at once to filtered coins. So I've replaced the items. Let me just show you. I just want us to be on the same page here. So yeah, so if you look here, you see that they are paginating through these items. All right, so we are not paginating through items, we are paginating through our filtered coins. So that's why I'm changing these items to filtered coins. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to grab the pagination component, which is this guy here. So items, current items, it starts here and it ends here. So I'll just grab this React paginate, I'll copy that and I would minimize this. Then let's come down to, okay, so this is where our table ends. So I'll just come down here, I'll add a comment here and say paginate, and I will just paste that in. So this is the React paginate. Now why is this throwing an error? It's throwing an error because we've not imported the React paginate from where it's located in our node modules. So if you come back to the documentation, you see that you need to import React paginate from React paginate. Yeah, so I'll just copy this guy, and that should have been the first thing I did, but anyway, I'm doing it now. So I'll go up and where's my import statement? I would import React paginate. Great. So now let's do a little bit of cleanup, and okay, so this is where we begin the React pagination. And if you scroll down, okay, you see here current items, set current items, use state, and we set it to null. This current items is what is going to replace these filtered coins, because at every point in time you want to show a specific number of items on the page. Okay, so these current items will replace these filtered coins from everything that is going on in here. All right, so I'm going to change these current items. Instead of leaving it to null, I'm going to set it to an empty array. All right, because this one is an empty array to start with. Okay, so let's just keep going down. Then page count, leave that as 0. There's one thing we need to do though that we've not set. Let me close up this space. If you come in here, you see these items per page. We've not set any items per page. So what that means is how many items do you want to show per time on the page. So in our case, we want to show, let's just say 3 items. So I'll come here and then I'll say I'll create a variable which I'm going to call const and items per page, and that's going to be set to 3 initially. Okay, we're eventually going to increase it to 10. So we'll set it to 3, and then if you come here, you see that this is complaining. There is something that is missing, and that is our filtered coins. We added the filtered coins here, we replaced it with the items. So what you need to do is you need to add it as a dependency array. So filtered coins, and that will get rid of that warning there. So these are just 1 or 2 cleanups that you would have actually just deciphered them yourself if you read the documentation, but I did read the documentation of the package. That's why I'm just walking through. So we are done with that. Now we need to now come to this guy here. So instead of filtering through the filtered coins, we are now going to filter through the current items. So let me show you. Where is the beginning of the pagination? This is where it ends, and this is where it begins. Yeah, so we're going to filter through these current items. Now I'll copy that, and then I'll come down here and change these filtered coins to current items. All right, yeah. Then next, we're just going to work on this React Paginate component. So there are some things we want to do very quickly. Okay, so for the next label, we're just going to remove this and just leave it at next. Make it capital letter here, next. Then the previous label, that's the text on the previous button, it's just going to be prev, and then I'll just remove the arrow at the back. So now we need to add some styles to this React Pagination component, and those styles are specified in the documentation. So let me show you. So some of them are just displayed here. They're actually props, but class name props. So if you look, you see we have things like active class name, previous class name, next class name. We're going to add all of that, and I've already created styles for us for that, so we don't need to actually start creating styles from scratch. It's all in our global styles. So how are we going to start? So I'm just going to come here. I would come down to the next page, and then I would add my container class name. So container class name, and you see it's even helping me out, and I'll set that to be Pagination. That's the name of the class I created. Then we're going to add a page link class name, and that's going to be set to page number, page hyphen number. Then we're going to have a previous link class name, that's going to be set to page number as well. Then we're going to have a next link class name, so next link class name, that's going to be set to page number as well. So we have page hyphen number. Then lastly, we're going to set an active class name, active link class name, and that's going to be set to active. All right, great. So I think at this point we can say we're done. So let me go ahead and save this guy, and let's check up on our project. So I'll bring up this guy here. Voila. So you see here we now have just 3 items displayed here, and we have the pagination. Okay, so if you click on next, then it says it goes to page 2 like that, page 3, page 4, which should have just 1 item because we have 10. So let's okay, I just clicked on that by mistake. Okay, so let me just, I'm sure you get what's going on. So now what we want to do is we want to have more than 10 items here, because now we just have only 10 coins. That's what we specified in our operation, fetch operation. So how are we going to do it such that we have like maybe 50 coins? So I'll just come back to my index.js, and let's come to where we did get static prop. All right, so this place here, we limited the number of coins we wanted to 10. Now you can decide to remove the limit and it will just fetch all the coins that exist in their database, but I think it will probably, they have a way they limit usage of their API. Okay, I think they limit usage by IP address. So if you use it a number of times in a day, I'm not sure exactly how many, then they are going to limit your computer's access or your IP address access to their API. So you want to use it sparingly while you're testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 50 coins. All right, and I would go ahead and save. Then next I'll come to this dynamic id.js route, and then I'll also change this to 50 coins. So here I would say, yeah, this is it here. I'll say I want to fetch 50 coins, and I think that's about it. Yeah, great, that's it. So I'll go ahead and save. Then lastly, I'll come to my crypto list and say that, look, I want to show 10 items per page. So we have to go up here to that place where we created the items per page variable, here where we set 3. What we want to do is we want to change this to 10 items per page. Now if you go ahead and save, then this page will refresh. You see here it has refreshed, and now we now have 10 items per page. And oh, okay, so we've not fetched the 50 coins, so we need to actually refresh the whole page so that we can fetch the 50 coins. So let me do that quickly. And if you come here, you see now that we now have 50 coins. So let me expand this so that we can actually just see and test. So I'll come here and I'll click next, and you see the coins are changing like that. If you click on any of them, it works just perfect. So let's test our search functionality to make sure we did not break anything. So I'll come here and say Doge. Okay, so that's the Dogecoin. Wow, Dogecoin is really low. All right, but that's fine. So I think that's about it for the functionalities that we want to achieve in this project. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this tutorial, then make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video, comment on the video. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, you're definitely going to enjoy my React beginner to advanced course, where I cover a lot of advanced concepts in React that are applicable to NextJS. Also, if you've not picked up the React roadmap, free React roadmap, then make sure you look at the link in the description and pick that up immediately. I would like you to see the demo for my React course, and you're going to see it in the next second.